This is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
I'm in a small village called Capurgana, which is on the northwest corner of Colombia. And I just have to say, this town is pretty sketchy. It's absolutely run by the smugglers. The smugglers who traffic in human misery in a way that I haven't seen in a lot of other places. What I mean by that is, this is the jumping off point for the migrants who are coming from all over the world and working their way up to the United States. Now, these caravans you hear about, they start out in Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, places like that, which are far north of here, and then wind their way up through Mexico to the U.S. southern border. But there's another group of migrants that are not from Latin America that come really from everywhere. Any third world country you can imagine, in Africa, the Middle East, Asia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Turkey, etc., etc., and a lot of people from Haiti and Cuba. Now, it's kind of strange to think that Cubans would go from their island, which is only 70 miles south of the United States, and instead of crossing that way, would come all the way to like Chile and go from Chile down or up north into Ecuador, and then Ecuador to Colombia to Panama, and that's where we are right now. We're in Colombia, right on the border of Panama. And the difficulty, you've probably heard me talk about this a lot if you watch my show, is that they have to cross the Darien Gap between Panama and Colombia. The Darien Gap being almost 50 miles wide. It's some of the most extreme terrain on the planet. It's hard to even begin to describe how difficult it is to move through there. It's basically a place where everything wants to kill you. I'm walking right along the ocean here. This is a beautiful place. It's actually really nice here, but I'll tell you more in a minute about why it's not so nice. I've been here for a couple days now, and our plan was to come here and hay café. I'm going to sit down and get a cup of coffee. ¿Cómo estamos? Parece muy bien. Alguien me recomendó ese lugar. Entonces, ¿puedo sentarme? Ah, está bien. Okay, gracias. Okay, I'm going to sit down so that I can talk, because this place is so sketchy that it's kind of freaking me out trying to walk and talk. There's a lot of people that don't want me here. Whoop. Café, porfa. ¿Tiene cappuccino? Cappuccino. No está bien. So, let's see how this works here. All right. I'm going to get my coffee and tell you a little more about this town. So, Capurgana is actually kind of a tourist attraction in Colombia. It's pretty difficult to get here, but people come out from Medellin and from Cartagena on the weekends, because you can see that it's got the beautiful beach and everything like that. And it is beautiful, it's really nice. But I wouldn't say that tourism is the biggest industry here, because most days of the week, more days than not, a group of migrants shows up at the docks here, and they move through this town and move into the jungle, and they start their trek to Panama. When I came here, I wanted to see the trail the trailhead where they begin. I wanted to walk on that trail a little bit myself and see what it was like for these people. What I found when I got here is that nobody in town wanted me to do that. When I let them know that I was a journalist and started talking about where are the migrants and that sort of thing, everybody clammed right up and were not happy about me being here. Have you ever, can you imagine seeing a taxi driver going up, taxi drivers sitting by the side of the road waiting for a fare. If a guy comes up and says, hey, I need a ride, how could the taxi not want to take you? Well, once they found out I was a journalist, I'd come up and say, hey, can I get a ride? And they'd say, no, you can't. I won't take you anywhere. They weren't unfriendly about it per se. Some of them actually were a little unfriendly, but they made it very clear that they didn't want to have anything to do with me. And they were very intentional about stopping me from doing what I came here to do. Kind of surprising. Now that I've been here for a couple days and sort of kind of get the lay of the land a little more, I understand why. Because these guys make probably at least half their income, especially the taxi drivers and the merchants here or whatever, make probably half their income directly from the migrants who come through here. Now, nobody really wants to see them because they're haggard from traveling already. They're maybe kind of dirty. And there's a little dog. Mm-hmm. All right, dog. Okay. Here's a little dog here. Who are you barking at? What's the matter with you? So these guys, they come here, they're bedraggled and dirty and broke, and so they don't have a ton of money to spend, but everybody along the line extracts something from these migrants. I'm talking about the taxi drivers, I'm talking about the people at the docks, I'm talking about the people who get the bags off the boat, even the merchants who benefit indirectly from the money that those other people make. So everything in this town is tied to essentially illegal immigration. And with that northern flow coming on such a consistent basis, it's a consistent source of income. Well, because it's illegal and because it's immoral, it's unethical. When you see 2-year-olds, babies in diapers, pregnant women, I saw yesterday a girl in a wheelchair. When you see them, coming here and planning to go through the jungle like that, that's a travesty, is what it is. Because many of those people aren't going to come out on the other side. They don't know how hard it is to go through that jungle, and they're going to die along the way. That's a really, really bad thing. And it just breaks my heart to watch these mothers with babies walking into the jungle with cardboard shoes, flip-flops or something, thinking that they're going to easily make it to the other side. They have no idea how hard it's going to be. And so the people who are facilitating this are facilitating a criminal activity, people criminally entering Panama. They are also facilitating sending people to their deaths in the jungle, and they know it. And they know if the word gets out that maybe there will be calls for something to be done about this, and they'll lose that income. So just to be safe, they don't want any journalists around here telling the story. but I was determined to tell the story. So the first day I was here, I came in, I watched the migrants come in, and then they quickly loaded them on motorcycle taxis and then whisked them off out of town. And we looked for them, we weren't able to find them again. I tried to get a taxi to follow them, and the taxi driver said, no, I won't take you, you can't go. They actually put a chain across the road so you couldn't get through after the taxis went through. It took me the rest of the day to figure out where those guys had gone and to figure out what they were doing. Gracias. Excelente. Here's my cappuccino. It took me the rest of the day to figure out where those guys had gone. And so today I was ready. I had to stay an extra day here, but I decided it was worth it to get this story because, you know, if you look on YouTube, look online, there's almost no footage of migrants going through the jungle. And you have to kind of ask yourself, why is that? I mean, other journalists have told this story. Well, apparently they've all met the same problems that I did because today I was ready. And when the migrants showed up, I had already rented a motorcycle taxi of my own. And I told that guy, follow these people. And we were positioned beyond where they would barricade the road. And so off we went. We followed them to where they got off. As soon as they got to the starting point of their walk and got off the motorcycle taxis, people started giving me hassle, telling me, you can't be here, you can't go here, you can't shoot this, you can't film this. And I went, yeah, and sort of ignored them and walked off down the trail following these migrants. I didn't get but 100 yards down the trail, and I got some good footage. I got some stuff that shows what it's like to some extent. But when I got down the trail, all of a sudden I was surrounded by about 4 smugglers. And these smugglers, they're the ones who make the majority of the money off of these migrants. They're charging them by the head to guide them through to the Panamanian border. And they really don't guide them. They tell them, here's the trail, go that way. And that's about it. They don't take them very far. But they charge money to these migrants for every step of the way. I got immediately surrounded by 4 of those guys, and they were like, turn your camera off right now, put the camera down, you have to leave, you can't be here, you can't film this. And I asked the guy, why not? And the guy said, because it's illegal. So he admits that what they're doing is illegal. But suffice it to say, I had my back up against a barbed wire fence. I was surrounded by 4 of these guys. I had to smile my way out of that situation or things were going to get ugly. And I was all alone, all by myself. So I said, oh, my bad. I didn't understand. Okay, no problem. All right, see you later. And I left. I walked off. That's when it really hit me just how important it is in this town for that illegal migration to continue. And that's why I want to tell this story, because if the way that you make your money is off the misery of other people, even if it's voluntary on their part, that's immoral. I'm sorry. That's immoral. Find something else to do. Find something better to do with your time. There's an ocean full of fish right here. Go out and fish. But when people say talk about smugglers, we kind of get this idea, at least I did get this idea of their, these nefarious characters who are, just evil down to the core. And there probably are some of those. One of the guys I saw today was definitely he was a maleante. He was a bad dude. The rest of those guys, they're just, taxi drivers. And what does a smuggler look like? The smuggler looks like the guy who drives the boat to get people over here. The smuggler looks like the guy who sells tents and knives and trash bags to the people so that they can more easily go through the jungle. A smuggler looks like the taxi driver who takes them out to the trailhead, and definitely looks like the guy who guides them in and shows them the way. most of those people are in perfectly legitimate professions. There's nothing wrong with driving a boat or driving a taxi. But when you are facilitating, when you're facilitating people walking to their deaths, I don't know about you, but to me, I wouldn't feel good about doing that. So that's all I've got for today. Maybe kind of a ramble, but I really wanted to sit down and kind of flesh out my thoughts on this subject because it really kind of bothers me. And everywhere I go in this town, I'm having people go, hey, turn that camera off. You can't film here. You can't be here. It is dangerous for me as a journalist. So I wanted to film this and get it on tape just in case, God forbid, I end up disappearing tonight or something like that. Doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. Anyway, so from Capurgana on the northwest corner of Colombia, go look it up, Google it, and you'll see what I mean. Capurgana, C-A-P-U-R-G-A-N-A. I'm Chuck Holton, and this is The Hot Zone.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2021.